and welcome to the threshing floor. Today I'm bringing you an impromptu video of a conversation with my kids. This morning we were sitting here, they're doing some school and I'm doing some sewing work obviously, and we were listening to the song Come to the Table by Sidewalk Prophets. And my son asked me, what do they mean by come to the table? Is the table like heaven? And I had been sitting there thinking about this, having a conversation kind of in my head, thinking about maybe doing a post on Facebook about this very thing and linking the song and just kind of talking about the picture that it brings to mind of, I believe it's an analogy that I've heard somewhere else before, but this imagery, and I'll get into it in a minute, that it brings to mind. And so I thought it was actually a really great opportunity, and I think it was very much a God thing that I was sitting there already stepping through this in my head when he asked the question. So now I get to explain to them what I was going to just write down on Facebook, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to film it, and then we'll just post it. So you asked about that, and now what I'm going to talk about is, so that song is talking about come to the table, come be with us, okay? Come fellowship with us, come eat with us, we'll provide things for you, okay? Now that is the offer of salvation. They're talking about the offer of salvation from God, okay? So when we sin, we have been separated from God in our sin, okay? The only way to be saved is through faith and trust, faith in Jesus Christ. And faith in Jesus Christ is trusting him. Faith in Jesus Christ is the only way that we can be saved. His death and his resurrection have paid the cost of our sin and brought us into relationship again with God. And it's the only way that we get to go and be with him when we die. So, the analogy, the kind of imagery that comes to mind, is a king establishes a kingdom, okay? And he builds a high wall, and it's a big, beautiful kingdom. And he has servants that wait on him and do what he says. And he's got a son. And he sends out his son to invite the people who are outside of the walls of his kingdom. Because he looked around and he realized he had no residents in his kingdom. He had nobody to come and live with him in a true relationship and in prosperity where they could eat and just relax and enjoy his company. He had all of these things that he wanted to give to them, all of these blessings to bestow. He wanted to take care of them and love them, but he had nobody. And so he sent out his son as a messenger to go out and invite all of the people who were outside of his kingdom. Now, outside of his kingdom, there was a lot of struggles. So inside of his kingdom, it was beautiful and he had everything he needed to supply everything for everybody. But outside of his kingdom, people really struggled. Some of them were poor, some of them were rich. Sometimes they didn't have enough food to eat. And so they worked really hard, and everything was difficult though. Everything that they managed to get was by very, 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 very hard work. Okay? So what the king and the prince were offering to all these people was, you don't have to work anymore. You can come in and you can eat and you can drink and you can be merry and you can be here with us and you can be loved. And you can have all of the things that you need. Everything you need will be provided for. Just come on in, come be with us, okay? So he sends out his son, the prince. Well, the prince goes out, and as he's walking along, so he goes out through these narrow gates, okay? And he goes out, and he calls to everyone who will hear. He calls them out. He says, my father's having a feast at 7 o'clock tonight. And he wants everybody to come. Okay? Everybody is invited. Just a minute, please. So everybody is invited. So the word spreads, and he says, tell everybody you know. Make sure nobody misses out because they didn't know that it was happening. And then he turns around and he goes back home along this narrow road through a narrow gate into the kingdom. Okay? Well, at that point, the gates are left open so that anybody who wants to come join in can. And some people from all around the whole world outside of this kingdom start coming in, little bit by little bit, okay? And they walk down this narrow road, through this narrow gate, and they come out into this big, open, beautiful kingdom. That's the best they've ever seen. And they're welcomed and they're greeted by the king and his son and by his servants. And they're loved and they're adored and they're welcomed to this table that has everything that they could possibly need. And then they're shown where they'll be living at. And it has everything. It really and truly is what they said it is. And so it has everything that they need. But then there's some people who chose not to go. They said, I think that's too good to be true. Or, you know what, I think I've got something better here. Or I really want to do this instead. Or I'm too busy to go to that tonight. I've got to go work my field. Okay? Well, it gets closer and closer, and the last few people get in there that have decided to go. And the gate closes because it's time to eat. 7 o'clock has come. If you're late, you missed it. So the king had waited and waited. And he waited, and he even sent out some messengers, maybe, just to kind of remind everybody, come on, it's getting time, okay? Well, they go in, they close the gates. Now the king is sorry that not everybody chose to come, because he knew that he could do great things for them, that the love that he had and the things he wanted to offer them were much better than the things they were experiencing. And so he was very, very sad in his heart that not everybody chose to come. But he had waited until the time, and then it was time. And so he sat down and he feasted and he rejoiced with all of his new residents, all of his new family that had come to be with him. Well, people on the outside, some of them started to think, you know, this is really hard work, and what I'm getting isn't very good from it. Maybe I should have gone to that dinner. Maybe I should have moved in with the king. Maybe I should have gone to the new kingdom. And they go, but the door's locked. They've missed their opportunity. That is very much a picture of salvation. The kingdom of heaven. God waits very, very patiently with great long suffering for us to choose him. He sent out the invitation. Every single person on this planet who has ever lived has the invitation. They have to make the choice. So Isaiah 55:6 says, seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. And that tells us there does come a day when us either saying, I don't know if I should go, or maybe just saying, well, I've got time. There comes a day when the door closes and we get left out because we decided, either through our decision to say no or our indecision, that we didn't want what he offered.
I love it if I would go.
I would love to go be with him too.
I would love to.
Me too.
I would not like to go in the boarding place in Belkin.
Well, it's not so much about avoiding that place. Our focus is on God. Our focus is on his goodness and his love and wanting to be with him. Because that's what we were made for. We were made to be with him and to walk with him and to love him. Okay? So it's not so much about I don't want to go over there, so I'm going to go here. It's about I want to go here, so I'm not going to go over there. Thank you for joining us for our short little impromptu video, and we hope that you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time on the threshing floor.